Session 7. She's added again, oh my God, Clare Dubois, do you not stop? It's Sunday. Well, I realised when I did Session 6 on Friday that there was a story that I've never told before. And I've no idea whether this is going to work, but given that Session 6 was all about sharing the experiment, or at least the car crash that gave me TreeSisters, in which the message, call everything you do an experiment because you cannot fail an experiment, you can only learn, was handed to me, which has become a life mantra since then. I thought, well, how about I model it? Let's try something I've never done before, which essentially is to try and verbally describe a cartoon that I was also given in the car crash in a way that hopefully can land, and you can have something of the transmission of it that I got, because when I got it, it was a game changer. But I've never been able to figure out how to turn it into a cartoon ever since, so it's still sitting inside my brain, but now I can let it loose for the first time. But before I do that, yesterday we passed 500,000 trees a year. 500,000 trees a year. Today we're at 512,000, and it's still rising. That is trees in Brazil, forest corridors between the fragmented parts of the Atlantic rainforest. That is mangroves in Madagascar. That is Afromontane forest on the slopes of Mount Kenya, and that is so many different indigenous species in agroforestry in southern India. This is biodiversity, this is water, this is soil, this is reducing poverty, this is ending malnutrition in Madagascar, this is helping people get out of slavery to the fish barons. These are such important projects, and you can see them all if you go to treesisters.org and to our tree page, and feel what it's like to start giving back to life in that way. So this is my first call. Please become a tree sister and make a stand for the trees. So one thing I didn't say on Friday in Session 6, which will be scooting off down the Tree Sisters Facebook page as we speak, is that when I was basically told that women are the missing piece because of feminine consciousness and the need to bring feminine consciousness forward, I literally was told, your project is Tree Sisters. I was given the name. It is about making it normal for every single person to start giving back rather than taking all the time, and you give back by giving directly back to nature, by giving trees, which are the restorer of balance, whether it is of soil or whether it is of water or whether it's of our weather. They are the great balancers. We need them. We cannot live without them. And so this cartoon is a very overt way of trying to land that message in our bodies in a different way. Okay, so here we go. Let's see if I can do this. So imagine for a minute that the house that you live in is a one up, one down, not a one up, one down, it's the bathroom and the bedrooms are upstairs and the sitting room is downstairs, and you are sitting on your sofa downstairs in front of the television, happily having a wonderful moment in front of a film. And all of a sudden, water starts dropping on your head. And so it's like, there's a burst pipe or there's something going on. You're alone in the house, and what do? So for me, the first thing I would do is run upstairs. So you run upstairs to find out where the water's coming from, and the bathroom door is closed. There's water pouring out underneath the bathroom door down the stairs, and there's someone in the bathroom, but you're alone in the house. So what the hell's going on? So you go to open the door and it's locked. And so you're banging on the door like crazy. Oh my God, I'm in a complete water crisis here. The house is going to be wrecked. And you blast in, and it's you sitting in your own bath with headphones on, with the taps running on full, with water pouring over the edges of the bath and the bathroom completely flooded. What do? So you would think in that moment you would lunge for yourself, and you would yank the earplugs out of your ears, you would yank you out of the bath, you would turn the taps off, and you would pull the plug out. So if the taps are the amount of carbon that we are pouring into the bathtub, which represents our atmosphere's capacity to hold carbon safely and keep us within the band of warmth that our ecosystems can handle, then what you realize is, in effect, we're sitting in our sitting room watching telly while there isn't just water dropping on our head, it's pouring down the walls, because the lifestyles that we have and the fossil fuels that we're burning is pumping so much carbon dioxide into the atmosphere that essentially our ecosystems are starting to fall apart. They can't handle what we're doing. And so in a lovely world, you would say, can you get out of the bath and turn the taps off? But actually, we don't know how to turn the taps off. And we don't want to get out of the bath, and nor do we want to take the earplugs off and actually wake up to what we're doing. So we've got a conundrum going on. So then it's a case of, okay, well, I've got to basically make the plug hole bigger, like pull the plug out. But when you move yourself out of the way, what you see is there isn't actually a plug hole in the bath at all, because the plug hole itself has got so much smaller, because the plug hole represents the carbon sinks. It represents the forests. And instead of increasing our forests in order to handle the excess carbon that we're pumping into the atmosphere, we're destroying them, which essentially is like chain smoking while amputating parts of your lungs and wondering why we're getting cancer. So the plug hole is absolutely tiny. It's like this little blip of a hole, which is the atmosphere's capacity to handle the carbon, which is why it's basically going into the oceans, which is one of the reasons why we're seeing the Great Barrier Reef going through the trauma that it's going through, it turning our oceans to acid. So we have a major conundrum here. How do we get ourselves out of the bath, turn the taps off, and make the plug hole that much larger? Well, that's reforestation. So, green change, you find yourself on top of an apartment building, or a block of flats is what we'd call it in England. And there's a roof party going on upstairs. There's just like this amazingly joyful party. We're totally celebrating as the developed world, the so-called developed world, that we've figured out how to conquer everything. We can dam our rivers, we can blast our mountains, we can destroy our forests, we can mine our oceans, we've learned how to use every part of nature to give ourselves great convenience and great comfort, and we're celebrating. And in this image of this block of flats, all the levels below are the what we call less developed nations, the nations who haven't yet learned how to fully exploit their lands, and they're the ones that we're going in so that we can help exploit their lands for us, and then leave them in their mess that we leave them, like Chevron has in the Amazon. And of course there is a bath running on the top floor and it's flooding everywhere, but we're out on the roof so we don't know what's going on, and we don't want to know what's going on. Meanwhile, this water is pouring down onto the levels below, where those people indigenous to the rainforest are screaming, please wake up, where all the different species that are basically starving because the temperatures are changing, because the seasons are moving, because the foods that they're usually getting when they migrate are not there, and so they're starving. And so from below, there's this banging on the roof. Will you turn off the water? Turn off the taps. And, you know, they're sitting there. Their reality is their ceiling tiles are falling down and there's water pouring down the walls and the floor is absolutely saturated. Their worlds are shredding around them, and they're not the cause. They're just the recipients. And so they're banging, 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 but there's too much music going on up above. We're just too much celebrating what we're able to accomplish. But there's some of us who are starting to hear them, and we're leaning over the side. They're hanging out of their windows, screaming, turn off the taps, turn off the taps. And this moment of complete horror where you look down and you see these people whose lives are being completely trashed by the fossil fuel emissions that the rest of us are creating, when we're living in so-called plenty and they're living in extraordinary difficulties, and we can't turn off the taps. So I'm leaning over going, I get it, I can see what's going on. A lot of us can see what's going on. A lot of us are in complete panic stations and we don't know what to do because we can't turn off the taps. We've created this huge global economy that is built on shredding our environment, and it's massively motored by the burning of fossil fuels. So what do? Well, we've got to figure out how to stop burning our fossil fuels, obviously. And we've got to stop figuring out how to lead lives that expect to be able to take whatever we want of the environment and turn it to our whim, because we're running out of environment and our children face just the unthinkable future that none of us can actually really bear to comprehend. But what we can do is enlarge the plug hole. We can start to try, whilst we reduce our emissions, to sink the carbon into trees. This is why I will endlessly keep bleating on about reforestation and tropical reforestation, because tropical trees sequester carbon 3 times as fast as those in the temperate zones. They grow extremely fast. They are carbon made visible. They suck it out of the atmosphere. It is their food. So I'm leaning over saying, I want to make it normal for every single person in this world to start giving money for trees. And then I'm sitting here saying, can we all start giving money for trees? It's something we can do. You know, we're a highly intelligent species. We are brilliant. And yet we are in this state of suspended animation, watching our behaviors, shredding our world and acting like we can't do anything about it. We can. We can reforest now, every single one of us. We can start giving as much as we can every month, not as little as we can, as much as we can, understanding that that is a gift to ourselves and our children and their children if we get that far. We need more trees, and we need them really fast. There are tropical reforestation projects all around the tropics. They all need our money. We've got 4. They're staggering projects. If you become a tree sister today, you will know that you are doing something to enlarge the plug hole and get that carbon going down the drain where it needs to, rather than into the floors below where we are trashing the lives of everybody that is not contributing to the carbon. And the other thing, of course, that is glaringly obvious in this scenario is that just because they're on the floors below us doesn't mean that when their world is completely trashed by the carbon, we're still up top. The whole building's going to come down. They're shouting for us as well. They're not just shouting for themselves. They're saying, you're going to bring the whole system down. You're going to trash your own lives. You're going to trash everybody's lives. Please turn the taps off. So, no, we can't turn the taps off, but we can have a damn good try in figuring out how we reduce and reduce and reduce, and we can plant trees in the meantime. And I did this one experiment in a school with 11-year-old boys, where I went in and I said, you know, let's try this. Let's see what happens if we put one child on the top of the desk. The teacher wasn't in because I'd have been had up for doing this. Put one child on top of the desk, put one child underneath the desk, and have everybody else standing around in a circle witnessing. And I explained the situation and really introduced the boy who was standing on top of this table to the reality, and this is something that I'm going to talk about tomorrow, of momentum, inherited momentum, this relief and exaltation in our own experimentation that we've got to this stage where we can do all these extraordinary things and it feels incredible and we want to do more and more and more of it and not think about the consequences. But he's up there and he doesn't want to stop the party. And meanwhile, this other boy below is banging on the roof saying, can you turn off the taps? Can you turn off the taps? And the boy up top doesn't want to listen to the boy underneath because he's having this feeling of like, wow, this is so powerful. I feel so powerful. This is amazing. And the boy underneath is getting hysterical. Like he's really having the same sort of experience that I had, which I described in session 2 of the Rape of the Earth, where you get an embodied experience of everything is falling apart. He was just like, oh my God, everything's falling apart, stop it! And the boy on top did not want to listen. And what happened was the boys that were standing in a circle all around started yelling, stop playing God, you're playing God, how can you do this to the world? I was stunned. And they yanked him off the top. And they shoved him underneath the table where the other boy was. And he went into complete shock. Like, don't make me confront those that I am damaging with my behavior. It was this astonishing moment, seeing these children have this like moment of, I don't know what to do. And the relief for the boy underneath, you know, first of all, he was angry and then he was just relieved. Thank you for coming down. Thank you for taking the time to recognize what's going on. Now will you go up and make the change? Are we willing to face what we're doing? Are we willing to do something about it? My way, TreeSisters' way, is to try to say, please, can we stop acting as if nothing is happening here? Just because the governments aren't saying we are in a state of emergency, we are in a state of emergency. If we don't wake up, our kids are going to be saying, what the hell did you do when you knew this was happening? And we'll have to say we did absolutely nothing. It's not all right. Not when we can do so much. When there's 700,000 tree sisters all standing for the trees and all giving every month, we will be planting over 1 million trees a day. We could get there tomorrow if enough of us actually just woke up and said we're willing to take responsibility. So my heartfelt request to you is, are you willing to stand up and take responsibility for this beloved world of ours that we are shredding with our behaviors, not because we're wrong, but because we've yet to wake up, and we have to wake up. And this is me, please, saying, can we all wake up? We can. It feels amazing. It feels right. It feels empowering. Please go to the Million Trees campaign, milliontreescampaign.com, and give as much as you can today. Please become a tree sister. Please stand with me. Please become a tree brother. Please become somebody who wants to start pulling the carbon out of the atmosphere and into the trees as opposed to into the oceans. Yes, I'll stop, I promise. I just wanted to say to those of you that didn't hear the amazing interview that I did yesterday with Barbara Marks Hubbard and Patricia Ellsberg, two extraordinary, vibrant elders who will redefine your sense of what it means to move into those later years. You can hear those at femininawakeningseries.com. Actually, I posted it live on the Tree Sisters Facebook page and on my personal page. It's a must listen. It's phenomenal. I also want to say tomorrow, in celebration of this full moon, as every full moon I do, deep, embodied, meditative, experiential journey. Tomorrow we are entering into the world of the Creatress. This is me guiding us all into an experience of falling into the pure potential at the core of our essence as we merge with creation to call forth a different reality. The reality that I am calling forth is that we move from a state of emergency into a state of emergence, profound emergence of ourselves as a restorer species, not just a consumer species. If you would like to feel empowered, deeply creative in a circle of sisters, join me at full moon tomorrow. 11 o'clock PST, that's 7 o'clock in the UK, and you can find the details of it on the Tree Sisters event page on our Facebook page. So again, one last time, please choose to make giving money for trees literally part of the air that you breathe. Please become a tree sister today. Please help us move way over 500,000 trees a year. We need to get to 1 million trees, and then 1 million trees a month, and then 1 million trees a week, and then 1 million trees a day. And we can do it if enough of us spread the word and choose to wake up. From my heart, please, please join us.